Ever been stuck with a printer that won't print, smudges your documents, or jams every time you need it most? Printers can be a nightmare, but understanding how they work and how to troubleshoot common issues can save you time, money, and frustration. In this video, I'll break down everything you need to know about printers, from inkjet and laser printers to fixing paper jams and connectivity problems. Whether you're printing at home or in the office, this guide will help you master your printer like a pro. Ready to stop the printer headaches? Let's dive in. Printers. Printers can be used to print or photocopy documents, or even print photos on photo paper. There are several ways for the printer to physically connect to the computer, but the most common way is to use a USB cable. In a USB connection, this is a local connection, i.e., the printer is directly connected to the computer. But you can also connect the printer to a network if it has an Ethernet port or a wireless network card. In this case, it is said to be a network printer. Network printers are convenient because they can be placed almost anywhere in a home or office, as long as they are connected to the network, whether wired or wireless. Another method of connection is what is called network sharing. With this method, you can, for example, allow other computers that are on your network to connect to your local printer, i.e., connected by USB, by sharing it over the network. This way, other computers will be able to print on the printer connected via USB to your computer. So, your computer essentially acts as a gateway, which simply allows other computers to access your printer. But the downside is that your computer must be turned on for others to use your printer. There are several types of printers. We have printers without impact and impact printers. Non-impact printers print without touching or hitting the paper, such as laser, inkjet, or thermal printers. And in impact printers, the printhead is in direct contact with the paper. We'll talk about this more later in the course. Non-impact printers give both superior print quality and faster print speed than impact printers. It is for this reason that non-impact printers are very popular with professionals and consumers alike. Inkjet printers are the most widely used printers at home. It works by the printhead that moves back and forth on the paper during printing. During the process, the printhead places small dots of ink on the paper. In fact, these dots are so tiny that they are smaller in diameter than a human hair. As these dots are placed precisely, they form to create the image on the paper. Low-end inkjet printers usually come with 2 ink cartridges, one for color and the other for black, while the high-end inkjets can come with 4 ink cartridges. Inkjet printers are therefore more affordable than laser printers and can produce very good results in photo quality. But one of the drawbacks is that the ink from an inkjet printer can smudge, while the ink from a laser printer, well, doesn't. Laser printers are available in different sizes, from small to large for businesses. They offer the best print quality available today, and they are also the most expensive. How a laser printer works. A laser printer essentially works by first placing an electrical charge on a rotating drum. Then, a laser is electrically discharged onto the drum. So, basically, the laser draws the image that needs to be printed directly on the drum itself. Then, this drum is coated with a fine black powder, which is the toner. And this toner will cling only on the areas of the drum where the laser has been drawn. This is how the toner is placed on the paper before it comes out of the printer. This gives a very high-quality impression. Thermal printer. Another non-impactful printer, which we will see, is the thermal printer. Thermal printers print using heat. they use a special paper, which is called thermal paper. And on this paper, there is wax-based ink. How a thermal printer works. When heat is applied to this paper, it turns black. That is, the only thing the printhead does from the thermal printer is apply heat to the areas where the ink needs to be placed. And when the ink is cooled, it becomes fixed. Thanks to this technology, thermal printers are very quiet. They are commonly used to print labels and barcodes. Matrix printers. The last type of printer we're going to see are dot matrix printers, which are also nicknamed needle printers and which don't really exist nowadays. This is an older technology which produces a worse print compared to laser or inkjet printers. And on top of that, they are very noisy because they are impact printers, which means that the print head comes into direct contact with the paper. How matrix printers work. The head is made up of small needles pushed by electromagnets, which strike a carbon ribbon, called an ink ribbon, located between the head and the paper. The carbon ribbon scrolls so that there is continuously ink on it, and at the end of each line, a roller rotates the sheet. So, despite their outdated technology, this type of printer has a very long lifespan. We will now detail different problems that can occur during printing. Stries. For example, if you're printing something and you see some sort of streaks, then it could be a problem with the ink cartridges of an inkjet printer. Typically, the software that came with the printer contains a list of tools that you can use to clean the printhead. But if the line issues on the print are really significant, you may need to remove the ink cartridges from the printhead and manually clean them with a suitable cloth. That is to say, one that cannot be peeled. Discoloration. Another problem that could occur is when you try to print something and the image is faded or it is completely blank. This problem can happen if the ink cartridges are dirty or if they are depleted. Ghost images, ghosting. We will now talk about the ghosting that can occur on laser printers. Ghosting is when you see a faint image which comes from a page you printed previously and which was not intended on the new print. Usually, this problem is caused by the drum or the fuser. The drum of a laser printer has a limited lifespan depending on the number of prints. So, you can try to replace the drum. But if the problem is still present, then it may be that it comes from the fuser. And in that case, you might have to take the printer to a professional to fix it if you're not familiar with that. Paper jams? Now, let's talk about paper jams, which is a recurring problem on printers. If you try to print something and the paper doesn't come out, then you might have a paper jam. Paper jams can be caused by debris inside the printer. This is why the paper usually comes out completely wrinkled. It can also be due to a problem with the paper feed rollers that would be defective. This usually happens with fairly old printers. This is because the rollers wear out and tend to have trouble gripping the paper and passing it through. So, in these cases, you will need to inspect the rollers to see if they need to be replaced, or alternatively, open the printer and check if there is any debris inside that would cause this problem. Missing color. Another problem that could occur during printing is that the color does not print correctly. It's often that one of your ink cartridges is defective or that they're almost finished. Connectivity. And the last problem we're going to talk about is connectivity problems, which can be linked if nothing happens. This type of problem is very common, especially on network printers. The first things to check should be the most obvious. For example, start by checking that the printer is powered on, by checking if its LCD panel is turned on. Then, if it is a network printer, you should make sure that the network cable is well connected. You should always check the most obvious things before diving into more in-depth checks. For example, to check if the printer has an IP address. In the CompTIA A+ exam, there are many questions that focus on printers and troubleshooting in general. So, remember to always check the most obvious and simple things before jumping into more complex troubleshooting. Virtual printing. Before we wrap up the printer course, we're going to talk about virtual printing. Instead of printing a document on physical paper, you can print it digitally and store it on your computer. This is called virtual printing. Printing a document to a file saves the document in a format that another printer can print. For example, if you want to print something and you don't have a printer, you can use this feature to move your file to be printed to a computer with a printer. As another virtual printing option, there is also the option of printing in PDF format. PDF portable document format literally translates to portable document format. PDF is a universal format that can be read on all types of devices, such as computers, tablets, and smartphones. And since the PDF format is so popular, most new devices on the market will be able to read this format without adding additional software. Otherwise, if you have an older device, then the ideal is to install the PDF Reader software, Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is the most common and available for free download.